think putting a big contingent of American ground troops on the ground in Iraq and Syria would not be in the best interest of the fight against ISIS and other terrorist groups. In fact, I think it would fulfill one of their dearest wishes, which is to drag the United States back into a ground war in that region.
So that was Hillary Clinton today in her first formal news conference in months, and she doubled down on her vow to defeat ISIS without sending ground troops to Iraq or Syria. But isn't she handicapping herself as a commander-in-chief by not keeping all options on the table? And aren't we just telling the enemy what we're doing, which President Obama has already been criticized for? Well, joining me now, Fox News contributor and a veteran himself, Pete Hegseth. Hi, Pete. It's good to see you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right. So what do you make of her comments? I mean, she's basically telling the enemy, like President Obama did, yeah, we're not going to do anything.
Well, exactly. I mean, she's handcuffing herself. It's exactly what we've seen from Barack Obama. You're telegraphing exactly what you won't do so as to allow your enemy to plan for what you may do or may not do. No general in our military would ever recommend automatically saying we won't do this. Just like the Iran deal, when we said we will take a military strike off the table, we lose a ton of leverage. Same with ISIS. It also sends the wrong signal to our allies who are trying to get involved in this fight if we really want to crush ISIS. So bringing masses of ground troops to Iraq and Syria may not be the right policy, and we can debate that. But taking it off the table at the beginning clearly is the wrong thing to do, and Trump should call her out for that.
I know that you were listening last night to that National Security Forum. We heard from Hillary Clinton and from Donald Trump. What did you make of the comments that you heard last night as a veteran yourself, and what are your fellow veterans saying to you today about it?
About the comment related to the boots on the ground in Iraq and Syria?
The boots on the ground, and also just the comments in general that we heard last night from both candidates.
Yeah.
I mean, the audience was military members, current military members, and veterans. They were speaking to you, and I'm curious what you thought.
No, they were. No, I think what you've got Hillary Clinton, well-rehearsed, likes to dive into details and emphasize how much she knows, and Donald Trump more going off of his gut and a belief that America is a force for good and that he wants to unleash our military. And Donald Trump is going to say some things the way you or I may not, but I think he's channeling the sentiment that a lot of Americans feel, that we haven't done what's necessary at the VA to help our veterans, that we are not rebuilding our military, that we are not unleashing our warfighters, that political correctness has infected the highest ranks of our military. And you can talk all you want about where you flew as Secretary of State, but if you don't have America's best interest in mind and you're not willing to be unapologetic about it, things are never going to change. So the contrast was very clear, even if Trump at some times was more inartful in saying it than Hillary is.
You know, it's so interesting, Pete, too, because, you know, he really does seem to resonate with our nation's veterans and the military, but at the same time, she's the one, as Secretary of State, that was in charge of, at least for her time there, charge of making sure that we were safe around the world. And under the president's guise, she did not go into Syria, which many thought we should have. I mean, there's a lot of mistakes that were made.
Yeah. She also said no American lives were lost in Libya during that intervention, conveniently forgetting the 4 we lost at Benghazi. With Hillary Clinton, as Donald Trump has pointed out, you get the worst of both worlds. You get all of the intervention and none of the follow-through, which means you break it, but you don't commit to fixing it. And on Iraq, you know, she was against the Iraq surge, for pulling out early, not finishing it properly, even though she was for the war to begin with. I think we recognize that if we're going to go into these places, we need to finish it, have a plan to finish it, and then extricate ourselves. Hillary Clinton has shown no ability to do any of that, and her judgment is therefore in question. Trump said you've been around for 30 years and things are still broken. That's the overarching narrative of this election cycle, and Trump should continue to speak that way, and Hillary's going to spin her wheels, because how could she point to success in Libya or Syria or Iraq or Russia or China?
Really quick, Pete, I have to ask you, I'm almost out of time, but I really have to ask you, he's being criticized for saying that the generals under Barack Obama were reduced to rubble. How did you feel about that comment?
Again, not the way I would say it. What he's saying is that we've got more political generals at the top who are forced to fight a politically correct way. He would untie their hands and give them the ability to take the fight to our enemy. Listen, we don't need generals that are political. We need war fighters. That is what he's saying. Again, I wouldn't have said it that way, but vets in the military who've served understand what he's talking about, that we need to unleash our war fighters and crush our enemies.
And that's why he's resonating. And you put it better than I think I definitely could. Pete Hegseth, it's great to see you, Pete. Thank you.
Thank you.